Back at you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how an Amazon employee showed up for work and got fired. A couple of days ago, I got an email and a video from somebody, and there was a video of an Amazon employee showed up for work, and she wasn't supposed to be on the schedule for work, and she ended up getting arrested. They She got arrested for trespassing because she didn't want to leave the premises. So I'm going to show you what's right, what's wrong in this 3-part video.
What would I be escorted off?
Because you are not scheduled and you are refusing to leave.
I have a picture that I'm scheduled for.
Done. You do not. I explained to you that was yesterday's shift.
No.
Please put away your car.
Do you want to see the proof that I'm supposed to be in her?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm not leaving it on schedule. Like if I wasn't on schedule.
Diamond, I'm not going to continue having this conversation with you. I explained to you in detail. I showed you your schedule. I showed you the proof that you were not here. I understand it's a misunderstanding, but you are being insubordinate and might ask to have you leave the site.
How am I being insubordinate?
Because I have asked you multiple times to clock out and go home.
I just told you I have proof. And
I'm not having an argument with you. Officer Sachs is going to help me escort you.
Ma'am, if you can just gather up your stuff and leave.
No, I just need your device and your badge, please.
I think maybe.
Diamond, I don't need to see your proof.
Ma'am.
I'm about to show her. Then I have proof that I'm supposed to be here.
We've gone through this already.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something we can do for you?
Alex is helping me with the situation. He had the conversation with me, asking her to leave the site.
Now, if whether she thought she's supposed to be there or not supposed to be there, if your supervisor or anybody in management tells you to leave, you have to leave. You know what I'm saying? I think there was a mix-up in the scheduling. Maybe they made some type of changes. It happens on a lot of these jobs that aren't organized, unfortunately. But regardless, if anyone in management asks you to leave, you have to leave. Otherwise, they can, or they probably will, hit you up for trespassing. So there's a part 2 of this.
In progress.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Yes. She said I have the authorization. You have the authorization.
Okay, can you say that in a definitive that you want to trespass?
Yes.
Can I have your attention?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the situation. You either leave or they're trespassing you. If you don't leave then, it means you have to leave. You do not have a choice. No. If they trespass you, you have to leave. If you do not leave.
I thought that was if I'm not on the schedule.
Now, the cop was right. It said she has to leave otherwise it's going to be trespassing. So he's explaining to her, giving her a warning, telling her what it is, and let's keep it going.
The schedule has nothing to do with it.
Yes, it do.
Ma'am.
What am I trespassing for? I'm not bothering nobody.
They have told you to leave for the day.
But I'm supposed to be on the schedule. So
that is irrelevant.
My schedule is about to be.
That is irrelevant.
So I will leave as soon as it's over.
Yeah, see, at this point, once the supervisor told the cop that she wanted her to leave, otherwise they're gonna put her up for trespassing. The schedule doesn't matter at that point. So all that's right. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I'd have left. I'd have left a long time ago. You don't got to tell me twice. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me.
That is irrelevant. You need to leave. If you do not leave, you can be arrested for trespassing.
How can I be arrested for trespassing?
Because I will arrest you.
Well, obviously, she's trying to look for the schedule, trying to look for some type of proof on her phone, but this ain't really the time to do that. You know, at this point, you know. So there's a part 3 to this. Let's see.
You need to leave. If you do not leave, you can be arrested for trespassing.
How can I be arrested for trespassing?
Because I will arrest you. For trespassing. Arrested for trespassing.
How am I be arrested when I'm on the schedule? That doesn't make
Whether
sense.
you're on the schedule or not is irrelevant to me.
How am I being trusted? That's not making sense.
Last time I'm asking.
What am I being trusted?
Last time I'm asking, ma'am.
What am I?
Are you going to leave
I'm just
voluntarily or
asking.
not?
I'm asking you, what am I being trusted?
You're under arrest for trespassing.
Sir,
Ma'am,
get off of me. I'm not doing
you
it.
are under arrest for
You are
trespassing.
not. No.
Yes.
Why am I trespassing? Because I'm supposed to be on the
They've said
property.
you need to leave.
You are not yelling.
You were asked multiple times to leave.
So I got to give the cops a little credit. He was patient. He did ask her to leave a couple times and gave her a final warning. You know, it seems like for whatever reason, this woman is not. She either doesn't understand what's going on, or doesn't. It's a disconnect between her and the supervisor. I don't know what it is. You know, but I just find that to be.
How am I being arrested when I'm on the schedule? That doesn't make
Whether
sense.
you're on the schedule or not is irrelevant to me.
How am I being trusted? That's not making sense.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, if you're on somebody else's property and they ask you to leave, you have to leave. Otherwise, you can be charged with trespassing. Even if they invite you over, like for example, let's say someone invites you over to their house and something happens and things, go left. And they say, hey, I need you to leave. You have to leave, regardless of what happened, regardless if you were invited. You have to leave. Same as when it comes to a restaurant, same as when it comes to a job. If they want you to leave, you have to leave. You can do whatever you want to do later, but at that given time, you have to leave when they say it. Because, if they call the cops, they can say, hey, this person refused to leave. I want to charge them with trespassing, and then shit gonna escalate and turn into something else. You don't want that. You know what I'm saying? If you think you've been mistreated in such a way, take care of that later once you leave the premises. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, if you felt like you've been mistreated, you're probably not going to be able to work it out on the premises, on the property, with whoever you're trying to talk to. So that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, you have a lot of uncivilized mutts out here, people that don't have bad social skills, or and plus on these jobs, all kinds of stuff happens. They might have, check this out, they might have changed the schedule on this woman at the last minute after she came in. This type of stuff happens. I remember one time I had a job where I was getting off at 11 o'clock, and for the whole 8 hours, the schedule was the same while I was at work. And after 10 o'clock, because I worked from 3 to 11, and from 8-hour shift, 3 and during the day to 11 at night. So the whole day, the schedule was the same. And I went to the break room after 10 because I had less than an hour left, right? All of a sudden, they had me working for another 3 hours after 11 and didn't say anything about it. The supervisor did this. And she made it seem like it was like this the whole time. So this type of stuff, it happens. You know, people do things on these jobs that are unfair, that it shouldn't happen, but it happens. But even, like I said, even still then, if you felt like you've been mistreated, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to work it out with this person. So it's best to talk to somebody else or handle it in a different way. But at the same time, when you run into a cop, at least when I run into a cop, my job is to get away from the cop as quick as possible. Like, for example, if I get stopped on, if I get pulled over by a cop, it could be a traffic ticket or whatever, I ain't trying to sit in my damn car talking to this damn cop no longer than I have to. I'm trying to get away from him as quick as possible. I ain't trying to argue with him or go back and forth, regardless, even if he's lying. Well, I ain't going to admit to a lie, but at the same time, my job is to get away from him as quick as possible. You know? So whether I'm driving to get pulled over by a cop, or when I'm walking on the sidewalk or at a restaurant or at a nightclub or some event and a cop engages me, talks to me, I'm trying to get away from him as quick as possible. I ain't trying to talk to a cop and be friends with him and be buddies and act like we're cool and have all this respect for cops. Nah, I ain't trying to do none of that. You know, if I was this young lady and the supervisor walked over to me and said, "Hey, you have to leave," and as soon as I saw her with a cop, she only had to tell me one time, "I'm out." You know, I'll figure out what happened later. You know, I'll handle it. And that's it. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to handle it with her. Because she's already showed, if I felt like I'm being mistreated, she's already showed that she's someone that can't be trusted, that don't have integrity. So you're really wasting your time. You're gonna have to talk to somebody else above her. So hopefully this video helps you out, and, you know, helps you in other situations when it comes to working these jobs. Because the longer you work on these jobs, more than likely something's gonna happen, and you're gonna have to handle it in the best way humanly possible. So share this video. Tell me what you think below. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.